This morning, we're once again confronted by the perilous politics of humanitarian aid at sea. The global Summit flotilla carrying aid and activists, including Greta Thunberg, was struck this week while anchored in Tunisian waters, struck twice, I believe. The organisers claim it was hit by a drone, with video footage appearing to show an incendiary device falling onto the family boat, sparking a fire. Tunisian officials deny this, insisting that the blaze began internally, perhaps from a discarded cigarette, yet independent military analysts say the angle of impact suggests an object was dropped from above. This isn't an isolated event. The Freedom Flotilla reported a drone strike near Malta earlier this year, and Israel has a long record of intercepting, disabling, or seizing ships attempting to break the blockade of Gaza. The most famous, or the most infamous example was 2010, when Israeli commandos boarded the Mavi Marmara and killed 10 activists. To this day, every major attempt to sail aid into Gaza has been stopped. The Summit flotilla, named after the Arabic word for steadfastness or resilience, is part of that long-running contest between activists insisting on direct delivery of aid and Israel determined to enforce a siege it says is necessary to prevent Hamas smuggling arms. The politics are layered. The flotilla frames its mission as peaceful humanitarian solidarity, highlighting the UN's declaration of famine in Gaza, where 500,000 people are said to face starvation. Israeli officials dismissed the flotillas as political theatre, stunts designed to delegitimize Israel's security policies rather than deliver meaningful relief. And now, with Greta Thunberg aboard, the flotilla acquires a celebrity dimension. Her presence guarantees global media coverage, outrage, and counterclaims. The Tunisian authorities' denial is particularly significant. If an external strike did occur in Tunisian waters, it would represent an attack not only on activists, but on Tunisian sovereignty itself, an act that could be framed as aggression under international law. UN Rapporteur Francesca Albanese has already described it as such. Legal scholars warn that if Israel were behind such an incident, it might constitute a war crime under the Rome Statute, as both Portugal and Tunisia are signatories to the International Criminal Court, yet proving attribution in a murky maritime environment with competing videos, claims and denials is extraordinarily difficult. Beyond the technicalities, the symbolism is stark, and boats burning in the Mediterranean while Gaza itself endures bombardment and blockade. Thunberg, already a polarizing figure in the climate debate, is now equally polarizing in the conflict over Gaza. To her critics, she's naive and manipulated. To her supporters, she embodies a moral clarity that shames governments into action. That is precisely why her involvement in this flotilla is so dangerous for its opponents, because it ensures the story cannot be dismissed as obscure activism on the margins. The broader historical context matters too. Maritime attempts to block or to run blockades have always carried high risk, from the Union blockade runners of the American Civil War to the international solidarity ships of the Spanish War and of the Spanish Civil War, and indeed the ships against the British mandate by the Exodus group of early Israeli settlers. When states attempt to monopolize supply lines, activists often see the sea as the one space where civil resistance can make an impact, but states, particularly those with overwhelming naval superiority, usually win. Israel has shown repeatedly that it can intercept or disable vessels long before they approach Gaza. The flotillas therefore rely less on material success than on moral theatre, a fight for global public opinion. And here lies the real contest. If the world comes to believe that aid ships are being sabotaged, even in foreign harbours, then the narrative of Israel defending itself erodes further. Conversely, if flotillas are seen as reckless, politicised gestures with little real humanitarian value, then the blockade continues without international outrage. The attack on the flotilla in Tunisia, where the drone strike or internal accident has already achieved what the activists wanted, which is attention. Crowds gathered at Sidi Bou Said, chanting pro-Palestinian slogans. Media coverage has been global. The incident will likely harden divisions. Israel insisting it had nothing to do with it, activists declaring it proof of deliberate aggression, governments hesitant to escalate. But one point remains clear. Gaza is starving, humanitarian corridors are blocked, international law is stretched thin. In that vacuum, flotillas such as this one will keep setting sail, whatever the risks, and every attack, real or alleged, ensures the issue stays alive in the world's conscience. The question is not whether the flotilla will reach Gaza, the question is whether the symbolism of ships already under fire will finally force governments to confront the humanitarian catastrophe they have. Until now, this is a humanitarian catastrophe that people have been content to watch from the shore.